Howdy, and welcome to Chapter 14. Chapter 14 will be our last chapter talking about total compensation. As you remember, we talked about total compensation consists of three things: base pay, incentive pay, and lastly, benefits, also referred to as indirect compensation. So we're going to look at the importance of benefits as part of an employee's total compensation package. We're going to talk about a certain number of benefits that are required by law and also benefits that are not required but employers provide them. We're going to talk about what goes into a benefits package. We're going to talk about how employers design and administer these programs. And lastly, why it's important to effectively communicate these programs to our employees. So why are benefits important? Many reasons, and I particularly love this topic. I spent most of my HR career involved in benefits, and I always liked it because I thought it was a great way to impact the bottom line of the organization, because benefits are so financial in nature, and also a way to help people by providing things that they need to make their life easier and planning easier. So they're important for many reasons. Employees look for different types of benefits to meet their needs. Okay, so we have different employee needs. Think of employees at different stages in their lives. Someone just starting their career versus someone about to retire. They have very different needs when it comes to benefit packages. Benefits are very complex. They're more complex than pay structures because they have tax implications, and medical plans are very complex. There are retirement plans. So just the complexity makes them pretty important. Very important is they contribute to attracting, retaining, and motivating employees. Okay, if we don't have good benefit plans, it'd be very hard to attract a qualified workforce and to gain competitive advantage in an organization. Okay, it's very important for that reason. And having a variety of benefits helps employers kind of tailor their compensation toward the needs of employees. There's a great variety of benefits, so employers can figure out what works best to attract, retain, and motivate their workforce and choose from those possible benefits. One really important one is employees have an expectation that they're going to get these benefits. If I go to work somewhere, me personally, I would think, I'm going to have a pretty good medical plan. I'm going to have a decent retirement plan. I'm going to have vacation and holidays. So employees come to expect that these things will be there for them. Okay. Cost. Generally speaking, benefits are about 30% of salary. So it's a big dollar item for employers. It's a big cost to provide benefits. We have to be very careful how we do that. Benefits are highly regulated, by the government. So that's important as HR people to know those implications. Okay. So for all these reasons, benefits are pretty important in an organization. Some benefits are required by law. Okay, I call it 4.5 benefits, and you'll see why, are actually required by law. And we're going to talk about each one of these. The first is Social Security. Okay, we'll talk about what that is. See if you can name them too. Okay. The second one is unemployment compensation. That's required by law. The third is workers' compensation. workers' comp. The fourth, and we've talked about this one in some detail, Family Medical Leave Act benefits. And the fifth one, or 4.5, as I put it, is medical insurance. And medical insurance is not really required in organizations. The Health Care Act, which was enacted a few years ago, applies to employers with at least 50 employees, okay? But even if an employer has more than 50 employees, they can opt out of this and just pay sort of a premium in taxes to the government to make up for that. That's why I don't really consider it a full one, but technically it is. Okay, so Social Security came out in 1935, a long time ago, and what it was meant to do was to provide what they call old age retirement insurance. Okay, so that when people get to be retirement age and they can't work anymore, that they have this to draw on. And employees can start drawing on this at age 62. Their full benefit comes between age 65 and 68. But if someone works to 70, then it keeps getting more. Okay. So it includes survivor's insurance. So if something happens to someone and they have children under the age of 18, they'll receive funds up until their 18th birthday. It includes disability. So someone can collect before age 62 if they become disabled and apply for it. So this includes hospital insurance, which they call Medicare. So Medicare Part A. Okay. This is the retirement part. This is retirement money paid per month. So you have that, and then you have the medical benefits. Okay, we have supplemental medical. Okay, which is Part B of Medicare. Okay, and how this is paid for, and if you work, you're paying for it now. It's a shared cost between the employer and employee. Okay, so the money is through payroll tax. Okay, so through payroll tax. So the tax rate is 7.65%, and this is for both the retirement and the hospital insurance, is 7.65%. So employees put in the 7.65%, and employers match that and put in 7.65%, with the idea that that money will be there when someone retires and they need it. Okay? And you receive the benefits. They determine the amount by how much was put in through the years. So it's your salary and your age when you retire. Okay. You're probably not thinking too much about that, but as you get older, this becomes more important. Unemployment insurance is federally mandated. Administered by the state. So every state administers their own according to federal guidelines. And unemployment insurance is experience rated. And what this means is employers pay a percentage of payroll based on how much their employees have used it. Okay, the more your employees go on unemployment and use it, the higher the percentage becomes. That's its experience rated. Okay, and the employer pays for the whole thing. The employee doesn't pay for this at all. So it's employer only. Okay. So to receive unemployment, and if you've known anybody that's received unemployment, or you probably are aware that you have to prove, to receive unemployment, you have to prove you were employed. That's pretty important, that you were employed and your employer was paying into this fund. Okay, you have to prove that you're available for work. Okay, you can't be disabled or unable to work or for some reason not able to. You have to be actively seeking work. They require that you prove that you've gone around and applied for jobs. Okay, and most importantly, and this is the one as an HR person always came into dispute, the person cannot be discharged for cause. Okay, so what this means is that the person lost their job due to no fault of their own. It could be that there was a downturn in work or some other reason happened. It can't be that they, punched out the supervisor and we fired them. They wouldn't be able to collect unemployment because they would have been discharged for cause. So that's where HR people get most involved in this, is disputing those sorts of cases. Okay, workers' compensation is a state program. Okay, so each state handles their own workers' compensation. It provides benefits to workers who suffer a work-related injury. Okay, so something happens at work, they get hurt. Okay, could be also an illness. Okay, and this is based on a legal principle of no fault liability. Okay. And what this means is that it doesn't matter what the person did to get hurt. The person could have caused the injury, but it's no fault, meaning that they will receive workers' comp even if they, for instance, took a guard off a machine and cut their hand. It would still, the employer would still be responsible to pay this because it's no fault. But no fault also means that the employee can't sue the employer in the course of this. So the cost is on the employer. The employee doesn't pay anything for this. This is also experience rated, as is unemployment. So employers care a lot about how much gets charged into this fund because they're charged based upon the number of claims. So a lot of places have safety programs and different ways to try to, keep costs down is important. Okay. And a lot of HR time is spent sort of investigating these things and making sure they're, true and legitimate and that sort of thing. Okay, then we have unpaid medical leave, or FMLA, and we talked a lot about this before, so I won't really go much over it, but certain things that happen, employees are entitled to time off from work. These are employers with 50 or more employees. Their employees can get up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave for various events like having a child or adopting a child or serious illness of themselves or a family member, and various other things that were added, such as you have someone in your family being deployed or coming back from deployment. You're covered under this too. So this allows benefits to continue and says that the employee, after the leave, returns to their job. Okay, even though it's unpaid, it's some security for the employee because Their benefits will continue, their medical, their retirement benefits will continue accruing through this leave, and they're guaranteed that they can come back to their job or a similar job. Okay. So those are the required benefits in addition to medical. Optional benefits, there are many optional benefits. Why do you think employers offer these optional benefits if they're not required? I think the answer, of course, would be it'd be very difficult to attract and retain employees if we didn't, because employees have come to expect these things will be there for them. Okay, so paid time off is a pretty popular benefit. I always like that one. So we have things like vacation, holidays, sick leave, personal days. Organizations have all sorts of different things. Jury duty is included here. Could be time off to attend funerals, voting, so on and so forth. One concept that's become very popular is called a paid time off bank, or PTO. And in a PTO, what happens is all these days are lumped together, and then the employee can decide when to take those, instead of saying, oh, I have 7 7 days vacation, 10 holidays, 3 personal days. It's all lumped together, and then the employee uses that as they see fit to do. So if they need a day off, they don't have to call in sick. They'll just take personal time. So that works very well. Retirement plans. There are several types of retirement plans. You can read about these in your book. The first being a defined benefit plan, which is the least common of the two types. And this is a plan that guarantees someone a specified level of income. So in other words, you work somewhere 25 years, you reach the age of 60, you're entitled to receive $2,500 per month for the rest of your life. Okay, and it never changes. Okay, and any benefit plan is covered by the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974, or ERISA. That's the act that covers the requirements in benefit plans. Okay, and with a defined benefit plan, the big thing for employers is the plan has to cover all the benefits. So the plan has to maintain certain levels of funding in order to have the money to pay out to people. And there's an agency of the government called the PBGC, the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation, where employers pay them a premium, and then they guarantee that if the employer were to go out of business, that their employees would still have a benefit. Okay, so then the second type, more popular type, is a defined contribution plan. Okay, and this is where the employer sets up individual accounts for each employee and the size of the investment into that account. So in other words, here at Texas A&M, we have both types, by the way, but I chose to be in the defined contribution plan, where I think it's Texas A&M puts in, I put in 10% of my pay, and Texas A&M puts in 10% and matches that for me, and it goes into an investment account that I decide how to invest it, and I manage that account myself, and then when I retire, I have the pool of money. Okay, and that's meant to supplement Social Security, because what happens is Social Security normally isn't enough to cover someone when they retire, so it has to be supplemented with one of these other types of plans. And when you go to work somewhere, you go to interview somewhere, ask about this. You'll sound really like I'm thinking about the future. What's your defined contribution, contribution plan like? And you just sound like you're very thinking about the future. That's a good thing. So then we have family-friendly benefits. We have things like family leave, child care benefits, college savings plans, elder care, just those sorts of things. Just things that will help with our family situation. Okay. Other types of benefits, quality of work life is a category these go in. And there are literally hundreds of these. And some companies have some pretty innovative type plans for this sort of thing. Like healthcare services, moving and relocation, discounts, tuition reimbursement. There's a great benefit. Also ask that at the interview. A fitness center, dry cleaning, so on and so forth. Okay, and these are just really nice to have. They're kind of fun kind of benefits to have, a little bit different. So some legal considerations. Okay, so benefits are very much, like I told you, regulated by law. We talked about ERISA being the main act that covers all this benefit law. So first we have, of course, benefits required by law. We talked about those. Okay, so all employers have to make sure that they're offering those benefits. The tax treatment of benefits. This is an interesting topic because, for instance, for instance, when you get your medical plan, you're not paying tax on that. So there's favorable tax treatment to employees if they're in a plan like this. And the employer gets a tax deduction for offering these plans to employees. Okay, so, but the law is very specific though about the employer actually getting the tax deduction. It has to, for instance, a benefit plan can't discriminate in favor of highly compensated people and still have favorable tax treatment. Okay, so it becomes very complicated. We have anti-discrimination laws. Okay, just like all the laws in Title VII apply here. Okay, equal employment laws apply to benefits too. I can't offer one group of employees a better benefit than another. I can't say, well, I'm going to offer all the men this benefit and all the women this lesser benefit. Okay, so we have those laws come into effect as well. We have accounting requirements. They said these funds have to be funded in a certain way to make sure that they're there, and a lot of accounting because we're, taking employees' money and we're investing it. There's a lot of responsibility and accounting involved, with that whole process. Okay, so lastly, I want to talk just a minute about flexible benefit plans or a cafeteria model. And some employers have this, and it's pretty neat because it allows an employee to pick and choose what benefit they want that most suits them at that point in their life. It's kind of like going to the cafeteria. I can't think of the big one in Houston where you go and you see all the food laid out. I'll have some of this, and I'll have this chicken, I'll have these green beans, I'll have this salad. So you pick what you want. So that's how this works. So employers give employees a certain dollar amount, and then the benefits are rated, and then they choose what benefits work best for them. So this is really a unique and very well liked by employees way to give benefits. Well, that's all I had for this chapter. I hope you found this interesting. Like I said, it's my favorite topic, as strange as that may sound, but it's my favorite topic in HR since I did it for so long. But mainly, make sure when you go to work somewhere that you ask about the benefits because it's 30% of your total overall package. So you really need to ask about it. So, guess that's it. So thank you.